I want to make sure that your story continues to be heard. Today is the first. Today is a historical day in Missouri in that our first medical cannabis dispensary is open in Bliss on Manchester Road in St. Louis, Missouri. They have 2 locations. It is a shame that it's taken so long for this to happen. You were a registered nurse for 30 years, upstanding citizen. Your husband and yourself built your own home, grew your own food, raised your own chickens. He walked 2 miles every day with his dogs. He had a stroke that affected his left eye and resulted in neurovascular glaucoma. He also had high blood pressure and diabetes, and ended up losing sight in that eye, and made use of what was available at the time: atropine drops for the eyes to help with reducing intraocular pressure and pain. That would only provide temporary relief for him for about 2 hours and could only be used a total of 2 times in a day, with fear of cardiac arrest as a side effect. The other medications that are an option are addictive and have significant harmful side effects. He found that cannabis took away his pain. He found immediate relief. Rather than resorting to the black market, he decided to grow for himself in his basement. 1 month after his first harvest, authorities had been notified that he was growing in the basement, and they came and told him that they would not arrest him if he were to give up his medicine, and he agreed. They took all of his plants as well as his guns and his grandfather's old pipe collection that was in a box with dust on it. You arrived bringing dinner home to him that evening and saw that the police were there. It was scary. You drove on until the gas ran out in the car, figuring, well, maybe just one person, maybe just he will be arrested and you'll be able to bail him out. You were in contact by phone with your neighbor who was keeping you posted as to the happenings. The police left. They came back. 2 police officers arrived. One went inside with papers for him to sign. By this point of the experience, his blood sugar was significantly low. He was asking to have a Coca-Cola to help with his blood sugar and help him with making decisions on signing these papers. There was no other witness there, and he didn't have his reading glasses, which the one eye left that is not blind had very poor sight. In an effort to appease them and get them to leave, he signed the documents, and You arrived home to find him drenched in sweat, shaking, crying, and his blood sugar was at 40, near a diabetic coma. You were interviewed by the Kansas City Star, and they let it be known about what had happened in Bates County with this marijuana raid. It made the police look poorly in how they handled the situation, and you feel that there was retaliation because 2 weeks later, both of you were arrested with $25,000 bond and put to sit in jail for a week until that bond was lowered to $1,000. Your experience was different than his. There were some nice women in there that you had as company, while your husband was sleeping on a mat for a week, improperly medicated with high blood pressure medication, blood thinners, and his insulin. He had recently had 2 vascular surgeries on his legs, or on his leg. Subsequently, his toes started to get infected and had to be amputated. After that, he couldn't walk and was sent to hospice. Soon he died. You have made great efforts in trying to help with preventing this from happening to others. You have gone through the rigor of a federal lawsuit, where first you have to ask permission of the federal government to sue them. The suit that you submitted was misinterpreted, or I suppose could have been better written, and they denied it, saying that the federal government had nothing to do with it. It was the state's fault. You were asking for the classification, the Schedule 1 classification of marijuana in the same category with heroin to be immediately removed. You have inspired others to submit these DOJ J995 forms. I understand that over 100,000 people filed this suit against the federal government, and it seems that it has gone completely ignored. Nobody, from your understanding, has heard back from the federal government on this. I'd like to know how you are doing today and how we can help you. You have not only taken care of your father and your mother and your husband and grandchildren and children, but now your son has been dealing with sepsis, which is life-threatening, cannot be kept in the hospital because of COVID, and I want to ask that people send prayers to him and to you, and I would like for you to share whatever you feel people should know and give us an idea of how we might be able to help. We did a very thorough interview with Waldo Jones on the Growth Origins podcast. It was a 3-hour interview and very informative. I appreciated something that you discussed, which is how people who have used cannabis are treated compared to alcoholics and abusers. Sadly, when your brother was 21 years old, he was beaten to death by a man after consuming alcohol and had a history of assault. He ended up spending 11 hours in jail with no other consequences. And here, in your instance, you and your husband spent 1 week in jail for having plants growing in your basement that relieved immediately the pain from his glaucoma. Our system is messed up. I want to ask the police to please be advocates for people that use marijuana. It is well established that drinking alcohol is much more dangerous. We need to stop ruining families' lives by putting people in jail and leaving them there to decline when they could be and are productive citizens in society and so much more peaceful than alcoholics.